Start the recording. Hi, I'm Beth Billings from Around the Table Yarns. We are working on the Naima DK Pullover sweater from Ankastrick today, and we are going to work through the instructions for all sizes, moving the markers that happens as we finish the yoke increases, or as we're coming to the bottom of the yoke. We start to move where the design elements fall on the sweater, and so moving the markers is required. I'm going to pause. I am coming to the end of my round. This is my beginning of round marker, and I have already moved the markers once. So what you'll see here is that there are 4 stitches between my markers. At the beginning of this section, you'll have 2 stitches between your markers, but we repeat the moving the markers for some sizes, and including mine. So I think it's okay if, just imagine that there's 2 stitches here. So I'm coming up to the beginning of the moving the markers section in the pattern. And I just want to show you that the pattern itself, I won't show the pattern on the video, but I will show my write-up of this, because I want you to see that there's 4 separate steps, and then you repeat them. So I think we talked about the fact last time that this pattern is, had a pen. I was writing this note, and then I moved everything, and now my pen's disappeared. So now I have a pencil. So when we're doing this pattern, you know, we're doing a big thing in the round, and we're going around the circle. I believe the beginning of round marker is at the beginning of the left sleeve. I believe this is the correct beginning of round is here. I can't write. Beginning of round is here. You're knitting in this direction. So first is the left sleeve, and then the front, and then the right sleeve, and then the back. Okay. In the front and back, we have eyelet increases every 4th row. And inside of the sleeves, we have those make one rights and left every other row, or so far we've done them every other round. So those have been every odd numbered round 1 and 3. And these have been on 1 only. Right? So with this change, we are going to continue making our eyelets, but if this is the, you know, the top of the sweater that we're working on, and our eyelets have been coming down like this, if they kept going in this direction, if they kept going in that angled direction, they would end up under the armpit. So what this, and there's been a marker there that's been telling us to do the eyelet exactly where we're doing the eyelet. And so what's happening by moving these markers, the line of eyelets is going to go down the front of the sweater or down the back of the sweater. So this line of eyelets, instead of going infinitely towards the armpit, is now going to angle to go down towards the front of the sweater. And that's visible in a photo of the pattern. You can just sort of see that it's starting to come, and it comes down this line of the sweater. So it doesn't go infinitely into the armpit and then disappear. It stops going to the side and starts coming down the line of the sweater. So there are 4 rows of eyelets that are going to continue doing that. And this is the reason that they go in that direction. Okay. So that's the whole reason that we're moving the markers. It's not for the shaping of the sweater itself. It's to keep these lines going. And it happens before we separate. So again, I wrote it out into 3 sections. And when you do this, you want to have a colored marker or a similar marker to your markers. I'm going to use a blue one. Extra. You need an extra one. Don't try and do it without an extra marker. In the first instance, you knit to the marker, remove the marker, knit one, and then you replace that marker. That's fine. You don't need an extra marker for that. And then you make one left. And then you knit to 1 stitch before the marker and make one right, and then place the marker. This is the extra marker. Okay, this one that you place, and then you knit one, and then you remove the marker that's in place, and now you'll have another extra. Okay, so just be aware that if you try and do this with this marker, you could confuse yourself. You could unknowingly sort of upset the apple cart of where the markers are supposed to be. So it would be easier to have an extra marker and place it than to try and make this marker do double duty. So what does that look like? So I'm about to start this round. I'm going to keep that in sight. I'm going to knit up to my marker, my beginning of round marker, and start round 1. So here I am. I've begun round 1. I knit to the marker. So if you haven't done this yet, you'll only knit 2 stitches. I've already done this once, so I had to knit 4 stitches. So I get to my first marker and I remove it. Now I have 2 markers off. I knit 1 stitch. I replace the marker that I took off. And I'm going to make one left. So I come from the front and knit into the back to make one left. At this stage, the increases are only happening every 4th round. So I have not had an increase since 4 rounds before. So having made one left, I then knit to 1 stitch before the next marker. So my next marker is on the other side of my sleeve. I've worked most of those stitches, but now I'm coming up to that marker. So when you knit to 1 stitch before the marker, that's exactly what they mean. 1 stitch remains on your left needle. And now I'm going to place my extra marker there. Oh, sorry, I did this earlier. So before you place the extra, you knit to 1 stitch before the marker, you're going to make one right. So that's, you come in from behind the stitch and knit into the front of it. That's your make one right. Now you place the marker. So after the increase, you place the marker, you knit 1, and now you remove the original marker. And now that's our extra. Okay. And now, so we've removed the additional marker. It's sitting there. Now we're going to knit to marker. When they say that, you should be between your markers, between your edge markers. So there's only 2 stitches when it says or 1 stitch when they say that. So you're going to knit to the other marker of that pair. We're going to remove that marker. Now I have 2 markers sitting out. I'm going to knit 1 more. I'm going to replace my marker. So now I only have 1 extra marker sitting out. And then I'm going to do a yarn over. So notice that this line, knit to marker, remove marker, knit 1, place marker, make 1 left. And this line, knit to marker, remove marker, knit 1, place marker, yarn over, except for the way that you make the increase, they're exactly the same. Okay, so here's my yarn over. And look, it lines up with my line of yarn overs. So it's my increase in pattern of yarn over on the front of the sweater. And so now I'm going to work across all of those stitches until I'm 1 stitch before the next marker. Hold, please. I'm going to make Paula's, in the meantime, while I'm finishing this row, I'm going to, here is Paula's, and what you can see is the line of eyelets going along the raglan shaping until almost the very bottom. And then it takes a turn. Lift it up a little higher there, Paula. It was nice to see your smile though. And you can see that these eyelets are now moving along sort of parallel to the edge of the sweater, but they do not continue into the armhole. So that's the point of moving the markers. Thank you very much. So here I am coming up to the other side. Sorry, this keeps going into the dark. The other side of my front. I'm approaching the other marker, the last marker for this half. I worked a 1 stitch before the marker. I'm going to do my yarn over now, place my extra marker. So I've done a yarn over, bring the yarn forward and around the needle. Place a new marker on, knit the next, place a marker, yarn over, yarn over, place marker, knit 1, and remove. So this is when you remove that marker, it's the one in the middle. There's 3 markers in place at that point, and you remove that one. And now you're back at an asterisk. So when that happens, you repeat. So from here, I go back up to here. And I've done that. And so now I'm going to knit to the first marker. And this is the beginning of my other sleeve. I'm going to remove that marker. I'm going to knit 1 stitch and replace that marker. And then I'm going to make 1 left. So I go in from the front and knit into the back of that stitch. And again, you can see that there is no other increase from the last time I did this. That's because once we start moving the markers, our raglan increases start happening only every 4th round. Okay, so now I'm going back around across. So again, I'm coming to the other end of the sleeve stitches. I have a few more to do. I'm going to stop when I have 1 stitch before the marker. And here I'm going to make 1 right. So my needle comes from behind. And then I knit into the front of that stitch. And then I'm going to place my extra marker. I'm going to knit to the next marker, which is, I'm going to knit 1, remove a marker. here. So I've gotten to here. That was my extra marker. And then this is the original marker that I've removed. So now I do it again. I knit to the next marker, should be coming right up. I remove that marker. Now I have two markers sitting there. I knit one more stitch, replace the marker I removed, and now I'm going to create a yarn over, and now I'm going to knit across the back stitches. So I moved my marker over after I did a make one right. And then I worked to the marker, did a yarn over, and now I'm going to work to one stitch before the beginning of round marker. So I'm knitting along to the last marker, the last moving of the marker, and this is my beginning of round marker. And if I replace it with my spare marker, it's a different color than what I'm visually remembering as my beginning of round. So for me, that means maybe to go grab another one that I will think of as the beginning of round and use that as my extra marker for this last one. For you, it might mean putting a safety pin on it temporarily or something so that when you change the position of this marker, you remember that it is your beginning of round marker. So I just say that because the things that catch me up are when I try and take a shortcut that ends up to be a long cut. And moving the markers is one of them. Audrey did this already in the shop, and she told me, you know, make sure to tell people to have an extra marker on hand, because if you try and make it a shortcut, you will mess up. I was like, good advice, Audrey, thank you. So we're knitting to one stitch before the marker. We're doing a yarn over. We're placing a new beginning of round marker. So this last time, the second time around, it is the beginning of round marker is the last marker that's moved. So I placed that. I knit one and I free up my old beginning of round marker, take that off. And now I am ready essentially to begin round two. Is that clear as mud for everybody? So we've gone all the way around. The pattern then continues, and depending on your size, this is round one. So round one is increases plus moving the markers. Round two, this is round one. Round two, knitting and slipping the markers. Nothing else happens. Round three, up until now, round three had been an increase round, at least in the sleeves. There are no increases right now. So round three is the same, knitting and slipping the markers. And then round four had been also just a plain round, and it still is. So you're going to essentially work 3 rounds with nothing but slipping the markers. Woohoo! You don't have to do anything else for rounds 2, 3, and 4 after this round one. Now, people are doing different sizes. And so I want to be clear that there are differences for the different sizes. If you are doing size 1, you're going to do all of this 2 more times. So this is how many more times? More times. And this is your size. If you're doing a size 2, you're going to do it one more time. If you're doing a size 3, you're going to do it one more time. If you're doing a size 4, woo, you're done. You get from round 1 to round 4, and then you can go to the next step. If you're doing a size 5, you have to do it 2 more times. 6, you're doing it 2 more times. 7, 2 more times. 8, 1 more time. And if you're doing a size 9, you do not need to repeat. So I'm doing this size. I have completed now rounds 1, 2, 3, 4, and I've done 1 again. So I need to go 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. I need to do it 7 more rounds. And then there will be a round 5 for everybody. Once they get through these extra, the round 5 will be exactly the same as what I just showed you. So you're moving the markers. You're doing the increases. And then you're also doing, so if this is your sweater, and this is where the sleeve stitches are, and these are where your let's make that look even. In round 5, you will also be doing the radial increases across for your size, as well as moving the markers, as well as doing the increases on the edges. So the assignment that I gave in class was to get to separating the sleeves by next month. So get through rounds 1 through 4, however many times you're doing them. And then round 5, after round 5, depending on your size, you will repeat rows 2, 3, and 4, or 2 and 3. So size 1 after round 5, size 1 does further rows 2 and 3. So this is after round 5. Size 2 does 2, 3, and 4. Size 3 does 2, 3, and 4. Size 4 does 2, 3, and 4. Size 5 does 2, 3, and 4. Size 6 does 2, 3, and 4. Size 7 does 2, 3, and 4. Size 8 and 9 do 2, 3, and 4. So if you're doing size 1, you stop after round 3. You do 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 2 and 3 again. If you're doing round 2 or size 2 or any of the other sizes, you will complete 2, 3, and 4 after round 5. And if you're doing 4, 8, and 9, You'll repeat these again. You'll do 1 through 4 again afterward. So all of these will do more. So you have to pay very careful attention to your size for how many more rounds you have to do. And the goal is to get to the size that's going to fit under your arms. I'm going to hold up my sweater. As we're growing, you can see that mine is very bunched up, and I'm more than ready to go on to bigger needles. So as you get to this point, it's no longer easy to move this around. It's getting slower and slower. You will speed up your knitting if you stop and take the time to change it to larger needles. You should be able to get them on a 32-inch. Everybody should be able to get them onto a 32-inch because this is going around your shoulders and not just around your body. And that will help you speed up your knitting a little bit if you don't have to move these folds of fabric along. Also, once you get towards the end of your yoke, this is a good place to try on. So I do recommend, even before you get sleeves separated, if you have a chance to put these onto a piece of waste yarn, that would be really helpful to try it on, because you don't want to have separated the sleeves and find that your yoke isn't deep enough or wide enough, or it's too wide or it's too narrow or whatever. You want to be able to fix that before we go into the body and the sleeves. So if you have separated your sleeve, please take a minute to try it on. Paul is nodding. We had somebody try hers on today and she was really excited because everything fit. So we will walk through the separating the sleeves together in the next class, which is May whatever. I don't even remember. I'll have to look. And I want to talk a little bit about the difference between an A-line, a bubble balloon, and a straight shape for everybody. So an A-line shape, essentially, here's your person, and an A-line shape comes down in a triangle. This A-line is very subtle because there's only 3 increases along the body. So it's not going to come out that much. It's not going to flare out that much, but it does have a subtle outward flare, which means it's more fitted here and it's a little bit more generous at the tummy and the waist. So if you have a tummy and a waist or a butt, this might be the shape for you. We had people asking about the balloon shape, and the balloon shape is different from the A-line in that it comes in at the bottom. So it comes out and then comes back in like a balloon. And this is very nice if you have a tiny little figure inside of it. If you are round, or you don't have a very thin waist or hips, the balloon shape may not look as cute on you. It's not I don't think it's a universally flattering fit, but it is very cute on the young people who have no hips and no waist. So the balloon shape, I'm not sure that everybody is interested in, but there are some of us who are making these for younger people, and it is a very popular shape right now in knitted garments. And then the other one is the straight up and down. So it comes out and then the sides of the sweater is just going to come straight up and down and not come out at any kind of an angle. And I think of like Joji Locatelli's Boxy as a good example of this. And I think the one on the cover kind of shows this to good effect. It is wide, and they're showing the arm out, so you can sort of see the width of the line of the body comes away from the actual body line. So there's positive ease here. And so I think that this works particularly nicely if you do have positive ease, if you make it wider than the body. So at the beginning, we talked about how much ease our sweaters were going to have. And if you chose extra ease, like 10 inches of positive ease, then you might want to consider the straight body shape, because you don't really need to add any more to it if you've got a lot of extra ease. And what happens with this is sort of a la Eileen Fisher, the sides, if your arms aren't up, when your arms are down, the sides come down and there's sort of a natural curve to those sweaters across. And that can be very attractive and very flattering to many different body types. So I think if you're looking for a more generally flattering fit, either extra ease and the straight sides or the A-line are going to be the most flattering for people who have figure issues that they want to hide or that they want to camouflage a little bit. If you do not have figure issues that you want to camouflage at all, then the balloon shape can be really cute. And that's my guidance. That is not me telling you what shape to make, but that's my guidance for shaping. Because people asked this morning and I thought this is a very valid question. This is what I think. Does anybody have any questions about that? Okay. So the goal puts us at separating the sleeves next month, which is May, and we're doing this through June. So we have next month, May, and then June, which means we have to knit our sleeves and our body in the intervening time. But I think we can ask Paula, she can nod if it's true. Once you get to the body, it's pretty smooth sailing. Yes, okay. So once you get to the body, there's no more moving markers, there's no more funny increases, there's no more arms versus body. It's all just the front and the back of the sweater, and you'll have your markers in place, and you'll continue doing your eyelet rounds every 4th round. So I think it becomes fairly straightforward at that point, and no more surprises. The sleeve shaping, from what I have seen, is not anything unusual. And so we're not going to spend a lot of time on it, but we will certainly spend any extra time that people need if they have questions about the sleeves and the body. So May is separating and starting the body. June will be picking up and doing the sleeves, and finishing, like if we're able to do the hem of the body and pick up the sleeves and start the sleeves, because the sleeve is just a miniature version of the body. So we'll talk about doing that smaller circumference when we get to the sleeve. So that's the plan. Any questions? Zenheit? I hope you all are enjoying it. I hope it's coming along and that you're not too stuck. I have to say this pattern made me a lot more nervous than I realized it was going to, because there's just a lot more fiddly things going on than I anticipated. But it's coming out really well, and even people who are more novice knitters are working on it and doing, I think, a good job. So I hope you're all enjoying it. and that you let me know if you have any questions. Were you going to say something, Maureen?
No, I was going to say I like it. I like it. It is fiddly, but I like it. It's gonna be pretty. It's gonna be very pretty.
Oh, good. I think it is really an attractive looking sweater, and Genevieve, who tried it on today, looked great in hers, and we were all excited. You know, she got a standing ovation for trying on her sweater in class. Barber cords can be your friends if you do want to try it on, but if you want to use just a smooth cotton yarn and put it on waist yarn, that's okay too. Or lots of small circular needles, lots of long, small small size 1 or size 2 circular needles can be helpful for trying things on too.
I love the pattern. It takes a lot. It takes some learning, but I'm already planning to knit it again for my daughters-in-law, because it's, once you figure it out, it's really easy, and the sizing is great because there's so many options.
I think it's going to be a really cute shape. I'm excited for seeing people's finished versions of this because I think the shape is really cute. Well, thank you for being my guinea pigs. I hope you have a great month, and we'll see you maybe in the shop, maybe on Zoom in May.
Thanks, you.
Beth. Bye.
Good night. Bye-bye.